Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining this program. Actually, this is the first episode of this show, and the title is 45-minute show. It will be featuring different categories of people discussing specifically the socio-economic and political landscape in this our country, Uganda. Of course, in relation to the journey our generation embarked on, and that's none other than the journey to freedom, the journey to democracy, the journey to rule of law, the journey that actually all sane Ugandans should embark on and don't tire until we reach the final destination. And today, on the panel, we have the outspoken leader from the National Unity Platform. That's none other than Alex Waiswa Mufumbiro, who also doubles as the deputy spokesperson of the National Unity Platform and the deputy spokesperson of the People Power Movement this afternoon. Alex Waiswa Mufumbiro, please say something to the viewers, and we start off this show.
I am, of course, extremely humbled to be part of the Choto family. I have already been told that you're streaming across 40 pages. I want to send my warm greetings to all Ugandans out there, those in the diaspora and those in Uganda. We are back home here in the struggle, of course, as usual. Uganda is our motherland, and it is always humbling, whether it's during the week or on the weekend, when we are out there speaking about how best we can make it better for all of us and equal. So I am extremely humbled. And of course, I want to wish you, my brother JB, a belated happy birthday. The busy schedule made me miss it, but it is humbling that we are growing, because the more we grow at this, is the more desired experience we shall deliver to this country. So I thank you, and I want to thank you also for your resilience, your commitment to this struggle. You're doing a great job. You inspire many of us back here home. So I want to thank you and thank all members of the Choto family for availing me this opportunity to discuss with the world.
All right, thank you very much. Alex Waiswa, in brief, just 2 minutes before we start off the show, how has been your week?
Wow, hectic. Hectic. Of course, we are faced with a lot of fighting. The regime is spending lots and lots of billions of money, taxpayers' money, on ensuring that they form the narrative that weakens the National Unity Platform, that weakens our leader. You have seen that many members of the opposition are at the forefront of fighting, of maligning, of blackmailing us. But that gives you the energy, and that has been our week. We have been trying to make things right, but of course also focusing on our desired schedule of liberating this country. A lot of the diversionary antics done by the state are geared towards driving us off the rail on the formalities and the formidability we are creating and enhancing to having a stable and resilient force against the dictator.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for that. So the last few words we lost you there, but I believe you managed.
It was a hectic one. I cannot say it was not hectic. It was hectic, but we always handle such situations.
Okay, I believe the same to me this side. From my perspective of all things, it has been hectic even on my side. And on that note, let us start with the issue of Honorable Zaake. You know the Deputy Speaker, that is the Anita Muwonge, who also doubles as the woman MP for Bukedea District. You well know she's working tooth and nail to see that Honorable Zaake is kicked out. So far, we've had more than 200 MPs have signed to impeach Honorable Zaake from his position as the parliamentary commissioner. Some of these MPs, unfortunately, they are from the opposition. What do you make out of all this? And specifically, what is at stake in all this?
Of course, I want to tell the country that the parliament is now headed by a person who cares less about humanity, a person who is a mafia, a person who turned from black to brown. So it defines the type of person you're faced with as a country. It is so unfortunate that General Museveni told the country that for the betterment of us and us meeting the middle status income, we had to have a collection of fishermen to be in charge of shepherding us to civilization. So in that mindset, Honorable Anita, of course, you all know how she became MP. She used the court and the electoral commission, just like in the 1980s, to nullify all of the would-be candidates and opponents against her, so as to be declared unopposed. The last candidate to be nominated, she was denominated by the electoral commission on very fake grounds. They recalled signatures of nominees to her advantage. So she's a highly connected person. I have known her for some time, and I can tell you that she's a deadly person. She has a lot of contacts. At one time, this is a story of another day, but at one time, she even fixed a corruption contact with the Deputy Chief Justice at Communications House here. So she is a lethal and brutal individual who I think by definition and by advantage, she will struggle to see that she defeats us in this thing. But I want to tell Ugandans, one, if she succeeds with the mob justice of parliament, because of the mob numbers that they have, Zaake will remain in parliament. The reason why they are fighting Zaake to leave the commission, I want to tell Ugandans that this commission is where allocation of responsibility and budgets to parliament is managed and handled. So Zaake has had the privilege to know the corruption and the bribery in that committee. He's a stumbling block to the things that Madam Anita wants to do in that committee. She wants to use it to her advantage, and Zaake has been a stumbling block because of what he stands for, the values he stands for. That is why the other day she was even trying to show that they have reconciled. I want to tell Ugandans that she wants to use this as a form of intimidation because Honorable Zaake refused to cow down and negotiate with the dictator. All of us are on that punishment as Ugandans. If you don't want to agree that the country is in good hands and you say it is messed up, they will definitely treat you like Zaake. Ugandans should not be shocked because you know Zaake's ultimate penalty given to him by General Museveni is death and torture. So if somebody has been tortured and beaten to pulp and death, you cannot be surprised that even that position is holding, that he was given by the people of Mityana and the National Unity Platform, because that is not Anita's position. That is a decision of the National Unity Platform, because it is the National Unity Platform that decides who's supposed to be the commissioner. Now, what if tomorrow we say that Zaake is supposed to be the leader of opposition? Because these are just positions. We can say for tomorrow and say now, instead of Zaake being a commissioner, let us make him our leader of opposition. What will she do? It does not need our approval. What if we make him the chief whip? What will Zaake do? What will Anita do? Anita cannot defeat our mind. We are only looking at her as a diversionary antic. She thinks she's smarter. She thinks she's brighter, but she's living a thin line, a very thin line, because the dictator cannot outlive us. She will definitely be here after the dictator, and we are telling her she will be liable of all the wrongs she has done to Ugandans. She's responsible for very many things, and some of us have put her to book. We only await the day we shall interact and have an opportunity to put her to the nation and tell the nation who she really is. She has quite a machinery. She has quite a machinery. There are people you have been seeing always and giving them a lot of marks that they are people who fight for this country. They are not. The PR department, all of them, all those who are working with the dictator, people we must put to shame when time comes. But of course, Honorable Zaake is formidable to the fact that if they want him to leave that position and they have the mob justice on him, they can do the mob justice. But Ugandans have the ultimate answer. And as I have said, we can determine these are just positions. We can wake up in the morning and say that Zaake is the leader of opposition. I don't think Anita will have a hand in us having him there.
All right.
So I want us to bother less about her. Let us look at her, do whatever she's doing. She's a demon in the sand.
Let's give you a few minutes and a few seconds. I want to interject in a little bit. When I was spreading out to this poster announcing this show, I got some questions from colleagues, and there's a question one of the comrades asked: if Honorable Zaake or if Anita Muwonge wins, does the NUP leadership has the legality to choose another parliamentary commissioner? I want that to come from your mouth.
Of course, that position is not for Anita Muwonge. That position is for National Unity Platform. It is a constitutional position. It is not her position. And there's nothing we benefit much about there. What they don't benefit about us being there is that we know the bad things that they're doing inside there. We are chasing the dictator. We are not chasing those small positions. So we still have the mandate to choose. And we can decide even not to choose and tell them that, take it away.
But again, Alex, I want you to look into this as well. Why is it that MPs have found much interest in signing this petition for the impeachment of Honorable Zaake than signing for the impeachment of JBMuwonge? And by the way, maybe some people do not know, what are they choosing JBMuwonge for that MPs have not found much interest? And, they rather find it in the impeachment of Zaake. Can you take us through that as well?
Anita is bribing members of parliament. Each member who has signed has been given 1 million. So you, of course, expect more signatures because 1 million is a lot of money. And that is the character of Anita. She's bribing MPs. MPs are taking up to 1 million. Secondly, they don't understand that this is a question of torture and individualism. The NRA is trying to get back to distorting facts of torture by introducing all diversionary antics, and that is Anita at it. And they want to show the might of their mob justice in parliament. Just like they will do mob justice on the Iyala elections, they can do mob justice on Zaake. But these things go unanswered of parliament. They will be remembered to having aided and abetted torture. All that bunch of idiots that think that this is just a game. Genome 7 has said it back and forth, that even if you send him a dog, as long as it is in yellow, and it can be able to put up its hand, he doesn't mind. So probably the dogs have been told to put up their hands, and they don't know what they're signing. I have been told that some of them have been signing thinking that they are signing Zaake's petition. That is the group of members of parliament in this country that you have.
Yeah, I want you to highlight on the issue of JBMuwonge. Expound more on that.
The issue of JBMuwonge, one, he abdicated and neglected his authority and role empowered to him by the Constitution of being accountable to the lives of Ugandans as the inline Minister of Security, and also of being in charge of an organization that has been at the thrust of torturing Ugandans unprecedentedly. And as you are all aware, he has neglected and abdicated that duty. And those are the grounds of responsibility to which we members of the National Unity Platform and the opposition feel are enough grounds, are enough moral and ethical grounds to impeach him.
All right. On that note, don't you think the NUP leadership in the parliament or the members of parliament on the side of the people have not done enough to convince, because this is a serious issue, the issue of torture. Don't you think they've not done enough to convince NRM MPs to sign for the impeachment of JBMuwonge?
JB, I have heard many people, even those who went to school make such assertions and deliberations that where our MPs to convince, my friend, why are you supposed to convince somebody about torture? It is understandable. Torture is inhumane. If you're a Christian, I don't need to tell you about torture. It is inhumane. It is degrading. It is archaic. You don't need to be convinced. The truth is we are having a bunch of idiots at the helm of legislation, and I want you to also accept that there is a lot of poverty in mind of those who represent us, that they cannot even stand for the truth. They are acclimatized and they are so acclimatized to the status quo because that is not where they have been. It will be very difficult for them to chase what you're chasing. But the precedent we set as the opposition and as our members, because as of now, I'm aware that we have a number of 60 plus members of parliament. For me, I am comfortable of putting on record those that have stood up with the people at the time when the people needed them, and those that have decided either to keep silent or be with the dictator at the time when they were desired so much to be. For me, that is my modus operandi, and I would think it works so much. All we are doing today is to make sure that we are all at the same page to have the second thrust of this revolution. Because between me and you, we all know what it is going to take.
Definitely. On that note, still on the parliament, having talked about Anita Mond, Habos, the Speaker of Parliament, that's the Right Honorable Jack Bolanya, who is actually getting better as per the recent communication from the Deputy Speaker. He was recently flown out of the country to get medication from the United States, and Ugandan is residing in the United States as usual. Yeah, they took it to the streets, specifically this time around Seattle. They took it to the streets to protest these unending flights government officials make to get treatment from such developed countries, leaving behind the well-facilitated good hospitals in Uganda, as they claim. I don't know if I can, maybe let me link this to Mao and that small section of MPs from Acholi. And I know as a deputy spokesperson of the National Inter-Platform and People Power as the movement, I'm well convinced you've been following closely statements from those two groups of people, most especially from the president of the Democratic Party, that is Dr. Mao. Mao has on several occasions directly attacked
Mao
NUP.
is not a doctor. Mao is not a doctor. He's a lawyer.
Thank you for that. Norbert Mao has on several occasions directly attacked NUP as a party and its leaders as the sanctions of these protests. And in one of the statements, actually, a few days ago, he said, I quote, "The same people who threw parties to celebrate the death of General Paul Lokech are the same ones wishing Speaker Jacob Olanya dead. Their likes refused meat on Obote's dead body passing through well to Akokoro for burial. They betrayed Ben Chwanuka. There is no truth in them." So I want you, Alex, to take us into perspective of your view of all this. What is their agenda in all this? Why all these attributable sentiments? I want you to take us through that as well.
I was with Mao on Thursday, and I warned him not to continue that trend. And he was a bit polite. I thought that we were on the same page. But you see, in the opposition at this time, it is when they determine those who will represent at the East African, at the EALA Parliament. And as you are aware, many of our political parties are racing for that position. So part of the politics that those political parties play is that they insult you, and they will insult NUP such that the old man catches their eye and gives them and gives them a slot at the East African Parliament. Secondly, I think Mao is now paid to attack NUP relentlessly. because he has no issues he's presenting apart from castigating us and diverting us from what we are supposed to be discussing. He did say that he's now a lone soldier, but I think he's a paid lone soldier who will be defeated by time and facts. I want to end him at that. I really do not want, I do not think I should go low as he's going, because I am a student of when they go low, we go high. So I want to urge Ugandans to dismiss Mao, but also discuss the fact of Jacob Olanya. For me, as Alex Waiswa, I have no problem with people protesting against Jacob Olanya in America, because one, it is true he is moving on government funds. A person of his stature, if he's going to enjoy our resources for treatment, they must even tell us when he's sick and what he's suffering from. Those are the practices internationally. Even Trump, when he was going to hospital, they would say he's in this health condition, his heartbeat is now in this style, this is his pulse, this is his pressure. Because when you are a national leader, you are not an everyday person. But they keep them very ill, nearly to death. They sleep them out of the country, and then they expect that Ugandans will follow suit for their aftermath discussions. They would prepare Ugandans in all those processes, because this is a big person. That is one. Two, the cost. We must discuss the cost and our health sector in Uganda. Let me tell you, by 1980, Uganda had 22 referral hospitals. That is where we are even up today. Now, between 1962 and 1986, there was a construction of 22 national referral hospitals. Jenja Hospital, Mbale Hospital, Gomba Hospital, Gulu Hospital, all those big referral hospitals. And of course, they were all assisted. The medical health was complemented by the existentiality of the religious health facilities at the time. For example, the Anglicans took it upon themselves and constructed Namilembe Hospital. Those of the Catholic Church, they constructed Rubaga Hospital. And they did not end at that. The Muslims, you know that there's Chibuli Hospital. Now, this assistance and organization of health are the arguments people are advancing, that in the 21st century and the 21st mind, there would have been an improvement and a public health insurance policy of Ugandans. Let me tell you, Jacob Olanya was at the helm of parliament when they were allocating the over $150 million to Lubowa Hospital. Do you know what the report that is out? The person who has allocated that money is a coffee grower now. But because these are influences of State House, all this money has now disappeared. They will do subcontracts, and even the agreements that they have put to book, they make sure that they are badly covered, that by the time, for example, if you look at the construction of the bypass, the contract was of 5 years. The dollar was at 1,800. Today the dollar is at 3,500.
Yeah.
Even by financial contract, that is wrong. And this is what we have been going through. Now, Olanya was in charge of fixing, as a deputy speaker and as a speaker, the voices in Seattle are saying, go back home, because he's already there. He's receiving treatment. Nobody's arguing that he should not be there. He is already there receiving treatment. And they are not saying that fly him back home to die. They are saying, Olanya, you must fix. When God gives you the second opportunity, go home and fix the problems that you left there, for the people who pay taxes, for the people who have paid for your bill to be your care. Ugandans have suffered the consequences of Olanya's illness by treating him in America and expecting him to come back home and fix the problems. They have found him that he needs that health. Now, if you've got it, come back home and make sure that every Ugandan
So we are losing you.
Opportunity. It is important, secondly, they have used the opportunity. They have used the opportunity to say that, you see, and if you look at the way Mao brings it, that we are tribalistic. We are Baganda. Alex Waiswa is Msoga. It is known, publicly known. Rubongoya is not a Muganda. Nabagabe is not a Muganda. Barbara Chagulanyi is not a Muganda. Nobian Lee is not a Muganda. I mean, but they keep on rotating that picture back. Let me tell you, Chibule Ronald, one of my good friends, there were protests in America about his medical espionage in America. Judith Babiri, I never heard Mao speak about these things. That is why he is rubber jumping to everything, because he wants to keep in the news and he wants to catch the eye of the dictator. You know, the dictator promises them money and he does not give it to them on time. So they have to do many activities to keep in his mind. And I think Norbert Mao is desirous of a certain pay that has been promised to him. We can now wait and see whether after he has received it will remain the same. There are many political leaders you're going to see fighting this thing, fighting us behind very many curtains. But for us as the National Unity Platform and People Power must remain fought to the prize, be more focused, and we shall have the yielded results that we want.
All right. Thank you, Comrade Alex. On that note, I want you to, by law, the National Unity Platform should be the one in State House. Our President Kyagulanyi Ssentamu Robert. Yandibadde ng'ali mu ntebe. Which is not the case. And we had a manifesto. I want you to also take us into perspective. What would the national, actually, you just remind Ugandans, what would the National Unity Platform do to prevent such scenarios of officials flying out of Uganda to get medical attention? In brief, strengthening and making sure that the health care system in Uganda is well off.
We are not against medical. We are not against people being referred to other expertized health facilities across the globe. That is not our position. Our position is that these leaders who have always said that the things are okay back home should also reciprocate that to tandem with the health status of Ugandans. Number one, we do not have a health insurance policy, public health insurance policy. In our manifesto, we have enlisted that Ugandans will be introduced to a new system governed and systemized by government, our new government, on health, by making sure that every Ugandan has particular minimum standards in terms of medical health response. We want the health of Ugandans to be the responsibility, the sole responsibility of government. You must ensure that all those who have chronic and critical diseases are at your service as government. That is in our manifesto of New Uganda. We also believe in improved infrastructure. If you look at our infrastructure, the issues we are talking about, Mulago had capacity. I want to tell Ugandans, Mulago had capacity 20 years ago to work on every type of patient. But today it does not have capacity because, one, it has been overtaken by the numbers that were associated to be handled by that hospital. Two, the lack of improved modern technology in these hospitals. All this must be improved in our system. And of course, digitalizing the medical profession. Digitalizing the medical profession and empowering the human medical resource. Because many of our doctors, many of our people, as you may realize, are no longer with us simply because they have gone for greener pastures. I mean, people have flown to different hospitals and came back with stories that they are still treated by Ugandans. We can re-import back this medical human resource. Let me tell you, the person who handles Aga Khan Hospital is Professor Lay. He cannot work here. Why? The environment. So even our government will provide enough and hospitable political environment for our medical practitioners to feel free and practice in Uganda without haste. It is part of our program. Building more hospitals, medical equipment, increment in the remuneration of the medical personnel. Wow, our manifesto on health, trust me, it represents the new Uganda. Free maternal health.
Yeah,
free maternal health. Yeah, free maternal health. That every woman going to give birth should not go through a hassle, yet is giving Ugandans a resource. It must be free, acceptable, hygienic, and of the 21st century.